Good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day to you wherever you are. Today is Friday, August 5th, 2022. We are here for another edition of mental health and wellness. Um, Today we are talking, as we said last week, we would be speaking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We have 1 hour to talk, and just 1 hour on the dot. I have to run after 1 hour. But we want to welcome each and every one of you to today's edition, to the show today. Welcome and welcome. Uh, it's been a long day for me, very, very long day, but I thought to do this as always. So let's share the show while we are here. Today, we'll focus on physiological needs. As we said last time, we'll be focusing on physiological needs. Uh, Share the show, please, as much as you can. Let's talk about the physiological need, what it means, and how we are impacted when they are not met as humans. The expectation is at some point, Decanty will be on. Please rest assured that the time will change as of next week. We'll probably be switching to Sunday. Yes, we will probably be switching to Sunday because this time is not convenient enough for us. We'll be probably switching to Sunday evening. But share the show. Let's talk about the physiological needs. Very important. We'll take the next few minutes here to share the show. Today will be very fast and very brief on to this teaching. We'll talk to you about the physiological needs. Sorry if you came on, you see me wear my glasses. These are not prescribed. They're just regular glasses for the lightning. The lightning hurting my eyes. At some point, I will take them off. I'm not used to them. They're very somewhat uncomfortable for me, but I have to wear them. Trust me. I hate that. I hate it. I hate it to the core. But I have to wear them, to be quite honest. So let's get started with a quick musical break. As we say, quick. Our guest is running late. She just texted me and said she was running late. But we have 1 hour to be here. So we get quick to the musical break here. And we get to the conversation. If for some reason you can't follow today, we totally understand. You can follow whenever you can. But we have to have this quick conversation. Have a big meeting right after here at 6 with the community. So I have to run at 7. So I have to run. We're multitasking here. Share the show, please. And please, we get straight into the conversation right after this short music. Very, very, very short. We get into the conversation. Please share the show. We will no copyright to this song.
You don't even know my story. You don't even know your story. Oh yeah, you know on the day, I be a local. So moral. You post a new car on Facebook, but that's so la la. You working better. Loving and acting jealous, say you photo. My advice for you in my way, I got to confess. Confession. You gotta confess. You must have the impression. In Enjoyment, enjoyment, got your blessing. Enjoyment, enjoyment, no more stressing. Enjoyment, enjoyment, got your blessing. Enjoyment, enjoyment, no more stressing.
It's a man a beat, another man trash, just another man treasure. Another man fool, was another man person. Got your good, according to your measurement. Got your good, according to your measurement. The player ain't garish, and they play you for it. Just because so impression. Impression, fake impression. Impression, yeah. You don't even know my story. Or you want to share my glory, oh yeah. Everywhere you my way, oh, Zangere. Everywhere you my way, oh, Zangere. Every touch you my way, oh.
Enjoyment, enjoyment, got your blessing. Enjoyment, enjoyment, no more stressing. Enjoyment, enjoyment, got your blessing. Enjoyment, enjoyment, no more stressing.
Okay, let's get straight into the conversation. I have a meeting, like I said, so I wouldn't be too long here, and the lights are killing my eyes, so I have to have this on. But let's get into the conversation quick. Last week we introduced you to this pyramid, as you see that pyramid, and we talked about it briefly from a general perspective. We did talk about it from a general perspective. It was a brief introduction. We said we would talk about it today. We'll talk about the steps today from a deeper perspective. Now, please bear in mind, if we do not go as far or as deep as we can today, we'll resume either this Sunday. We will partly talk this Sunday afternoon. No, not this Sunday, the following Sunday, afternoon, because we'll switch to Sundays afternoon now, as opposed to this Friday. It's not working for us, so we'll switch to Sundays. But let's get to the total understanding of what physiological needs are, or what physiological needs mean, what they really, really mean. Because sometimes they could be confusing for some. Some people could look at it and say these are big words, they don't understand what it means, and so forth. So let's talk about what physiological needs mean. Let's get the definition off the way quick as we move further. It will help us understand what we're talking about, what context we're talking in, and what are some of the expectations in this need. And we'll try to give you vivid examples, realistic examples as possible to ensure that we're all on the same page or we're on the same line. So let's get into it. So physiological needs. First of all, as you can see the pyramid, I can't stand this glasses thing. I'll have to manage or navigate this thing through it without the glasses. I'll do something about it. First of all, without the on the pyramid, you see the purple one, the very purple one at the bottom. And as we talked last week, and Deganti and I were telling you, it's like you're building a house. Anything you want to build, there has to be a foundation. There must be a foundation in any building or anything you do. There must be. Once there is no foundation, it becomes a problem. You can't move further because you can't build up on something. You must build up on something. Anything you do in life, you have to build up on something. So you have to start from somewhere. But this build up we're talking about in this context is in the context of your life, your motivation, things that you will do, the way you will go, and so forth. So the way you act now, the way you behave now, we can trace it back to where your build-up was, whether it's from the family perspective, the community, the society where you live at. We can trace it. So you have to build up from somewhere. You have to. The same thing with those of us who came from Africa. The way we think, the way we act, they're a little different from people who lived in the Western world or who live in other parts of the world. So the build-up will determine. So that build-up includes your community, your society, your family, your religion, your culture, your tradition, your ethnicity. It speaks of a lot about how you act. It speaks a lot about how you carry yourself. And so we have to take all of these factors into consideration. So let's move forward to understanding that building with foundation is critically important. We have established that fact. That's not something you can change. And so there are some things that we can trace in our lives that are traceable to where we come from, how we were built up. But this building also could serve as motivation for things that you do. I'll give you a typical example. The Indians, they're into technology, they're into medical. So most of the times when you see Indian people, especially in the Western world, you would see that most of them are medical doctors. Most of them are nurses. Most of them are PAs or stuff like that. It is part of the cultural thing that they do. For the Asians, the Chinese, and other people, especially the Chinese, they're involved with technology. They like technology. So you will see them into tech, you will see them into high-tech jobs and so forth. So you have to think about it in this context. So when they have the children, imagine you have your children and both of them are doctors. Both parents are doctors. The expectation is they will groom that child, they will grow that child into becoming a doctor or somewhere in the medical field. Vice versa, no disrespect to us Liberians or to Liberia or us African. Your mom is not a nurse, your dad is not a nurse, but they insist that you become a nurse. What is the motivation? What is the build-up block? I'm not saying you can't do that, but we have to be realistic to some extent. Again, this is not to disrespect anyone. This is not to pinpoint on any culture, any race, but these are facts. They're not my facts. They are written facts. They're facts that we see on a daily basis, and we can relate to them. We can attribute them to our lives. So let's move fast forward to understand the definition, since we know now the building block. So it's important also in your personal life, in your life with your children, for you to be careful about what you say, what you do, or so forth, because they watch, that's how they learn. We've talked about this in human growth and development before. I was talking to a friend on the phone, and the friend said to me, well, my friend, when she communicates with her children or her child, she can cuss them. So I said, how old are the children? Well, they're 7 and 9. I said, okay. I said, your friend has a problem. She said, what do you mean? I said, I wouldn't be surprised when they reach the age 17, 18, 16, they will cuss her back someday. She said, why you say so? I said, that's what she's teaching them. It's just a fact. So the way we are as human beings, whatever you put in here, that what can come from your mouth. If you don't put certain thing here, you halfway to come from your mouth. That's not how we operate. Very good. We have Decanty here. Thank God. She took it from my head. She took the trouble from my head. So we'll bring Decanty on really quick, and she would get us into the conversation. Let me make you bigger. Let me get this off. Quick, let's make
Hi, Steve.
Hi, you look like my nephew and my nieces have run you over.
They ran me over.
I can.
And
You got your call, I'll call you back. You pick all that. I know it's not easy, but it's good. It's good stuff.
I'm here. So same disclosure, the people are kind of close in proximity. So
Yes.
they might come asking for stuff, and I might have to mute myself and do mommy stuff, and but it's all good. Yeah, hello.
So if you have to run, if you have to introduce them to us so we can know our newest classmates.
Or your professors.
Exactly. The upcoming professor. Well, good to have you on. So let's get into the conversation. I have started already.
Okay.
I didn't make the disclaimer, but let me make it since you reminded me of it. This is not a therapeutic session, ladies and gentlemen. This is meant for educational purposes. If you have to seek any help, contact your primary care doctor. You can contact Decanty. You can contact me. We've referred you. We will connect you or whatever it is if you're not in the states that we're in or so forth. This is for learning purposes, information purposes.
Yep,
It's
community
not,
engagement.
yes, it's not therapy. Please um, consult with your primary care doctor, your therapist, your counselors, your psychologists, or whoever your care providers are, and you guys will have a better plan. But quickly, let's get into the conversation. I was just telling them because we have 1 hour today, we have about 28 more minutes to go. No, 38 more minutes to go. On a dot, I have to run. So I was telling them that, but we haven't coordinated that we'll resume next Sunday because Fridays did not work for me. Can you imagine? I just came from work.
Me too. It
Yeah,
was
it didn't work.
boring.
I
Yeah.
figured when we talked the other day. So we'll be doing Sunday, but we'll coordinate the time from now to tomorrow. Then we announce the time on Sunday. I think Sunday would work for both of us.
Mhm.
So let's get into the conversation. Today we're talking about physiological need, like we said. What do you say about physiological needs on the chart? Let me put the chart back up. Let's
Okay.
get the conversation started.
All right. So last time we kind of introduced. Can y'all hear me? Am I speaking loud enough?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So we introduced last time, the topic of what we're talking about, and we kind of went all on this on the pyramid, but we're starting out from the base. Now, the way I did my notes, because you introduced the audience before to Erickson's stages of development. And so
Yes.
I want people to kind of follow with me as I explain this in terms of age and maturity so that way they kind of can see as we go up. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So on the Erickson stage of development, infancy, which is what 0 to 23 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we compare that and bring this over to this hierarchy of needs, that is that very, very basic needs, right? So
Mm-hmm.
as human beings, when you come in this world, you're looking that the people around you are able to provide you with shelter. You won't use the bathroom. You don't have control, so to speak, over your bodily functions. You are learning about what this place is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you need those needs to be met in because that so we talk about foundation, right? So those early ages set that foundation. So how does this matter when you have children or your caregivers, aunties, uncles, or when your role as a community person puts you in that position or in your family, right? So when children are born, babies want or need to have that sense of safety because this is if this is mastered at this stage, then they can safely go into the next stage. Does it make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so they need to know that when they cry, that you will provide them with their needs. They need to know that you will keep them warm, that their body will, you will cover them up, keep them in shelter, that you will keep them away from places that are chaotic or loud noises that will kind of, startle them, right?
Yes.
So all those kind of things, because what happened is, and I will go just a little more, but I will not go too much into that, as I am not an MD. But we understand that neurological development also is starting. That's a very young age, right? So your neurological development is what? Just the neurons in your brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, how your brain receives messages, how these fibers or wires work to make you function as a person, right? So imagine if you are, I'll go one step backwards a little. Imagine if the mom is pregnant and the mom does not feel safe.
Mm.
And the mom is in an environment that she is beaten. A mom is in an environment that's high stress. These stress hormones are passed to that child, okay? So imagine then this child is born with these pre-exposed conditions. This child automatically in for them their neurological development become impaired or impacted because now they are just born on hypervigilance, and hypervigilance means like you just small thing can make you jack. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that's a symptom of trauma, to say that something has happened that has led to your nerve that is responsible for your flight or fight, that your survival nerve, right? It has that department has been impacted. So you see, when we talk about just how every basic stage of a person's life is important, even in pregnancy. So now you see, child is born. Child needs to know safety, physical safety. Child needs emotional safety. If you don't hold this child, pick this child, bring this child close, that the child knows that I'm cared for, because the child can care for themselves, right?
Mhm.
This basic stage right here will be impaired.
Mhm.
So it may not seem like much, right? Then when that child move into the stage 2, which is the early childhood, and what happened in early childhood on the stages, Erickson stages, then early childhood between 2 years to 4 years, right? The child is starting to learn now autonomy, right? And which is learning how to know themselves, to separate themselves from their caregivers, right? So if in the early stages you did not provide this child with those basic needs, this child will more, I mean, I'm sorry, it was trust versus mistrust. That's the early stage, right? Infancy.
Yes,
Now,
the
early
first stage.
childhood, yep, autonomy, learning to know the world or separate themselves from the world, their caregivers, things like that, right? So if this child did not learn that when I need food, and food would be there. My house is not raining, water coming in, it's wet, I'm uncomfortable. There's a lot of chaos going on in my environment. Now, it's not to say that life can happen, but how the adults around these children control what is happening is a learning stage for the child to know how to trust this world. Y'all following? If you have questions, Steve, if question comes up, because I can see.
Definitely.
Okay. Um, I should keep going.
Yes, please. Please. And
Okay.
then I will chime in.
Okay. So the early stages, those physiological needs to be met. The people around need to help the children meet it, because that's laying the foundation for the world. That's letting them know if this is a safe world in or not safe. And safe and not safe all goes back to this trauma thing. If the children come into the world already with the past stress hormones, right? That tells them about trauma, that get ready. When you get outside there, it's gonna be rough on you. This child is going to not develop the trust of this world. Okay. So all the way through now, when this child is going into the next stages, they're not trusting of how the team will work, because I mean the people that I'm supposed to trust have shown me that they can't be reliable. So chime in if you need to. I need to
Thank
organize
you.
something on my end.
Thank you. Well, to put this in context, as we were speaking about the definition of physiological needs, to bring it to perspective, or to make it put in the simplest form, let me put it that way. So the physiological need here, as defined, they are the lowest level of the Maslow hierarchy of needs. They're the lowest. Can you imagine? Just the lowest. In other words, they're the starting point. So, like Dagonti was saying, if you can't start providing the physical needs for your children, it is a problem. It's a problem. So, for example, like we said, the first time we introduced um, human growth and development, we said to you, it sounded funny, but it makes a lot of sense. You can't keep bouncing the children or the babies from one babysitter to another babysitter because you refuse to pay the other babysitter money, and you now cost that babysitter, or you cost your man, you cost your pa, you cost everybody in the family. Nobody want to take care of the children. You are stuck with the children. Today, 1 month, the children to the other babysitter. Another month, they're to the other babysitter. It's that instability. It's not a good thing for the children. Let me put it that way. Or let's say you're supposed to spend time with your own children, but you still won't be younger, or you still won't be young boy. You put the children to sleep. You think you're smart, you get in medicine to sleep, and you go party all night. You come back in the morning when you're supposed to be paying attention to the children. Maybe you drunk or you are tired. You start to sleep. The children stay in diaper all day. From in the morning when they wake up, they don't get a bottles or whatever it is. Or some of you say you just put the noodles on and say the children might go make it, and they make a total mess. You wake up from sleep. You beat the children. You know, these things are a problem. Let me put it that way. So in other words, in as much that you are not being responsible, I know I don't want you to take it personal, but there's no other way I can say it. You're being irresponsible as a parent because, like I've always said, pregnancy is not an airborne disease. You don't look in the sky and get children. Whether you're a male or you're a woman, when you have children, that's your responsibility. Point blank and period. There is no argument about that part. So these physiological needs, we need them as human beings. So as part of the definition, we know now that they're the lowest. In other words, they are the foundation, but they are the most essential things as a person needs to survive. So you see it, in as much that you might overlook it, but they have an impact on your life or on the children's life. So that means, in other words, if people who your parents took you to take care of you, they didn't take care of you well, it has an impact on your life for the rest of your life. So let's take, for example, if somebody touched you when you were small, it has an impact on your life. Whether you want to admit it or you don't want to admit it, it's just the fact of the matter. You can ignore it all you want. You can act like it didn't happen. You can try to. Your behavior and your action would reflect those things. But not only that, they include some of these things that we're talking about. The physiological need include, but they're not limited to, the need for shelter. In other words, you need to find a place for your children. That means, in other words, you can't be taking your rent money and be buying Gucci bag, and then they kick you out of the house. You got to go live with somebody else because you are not responsible. Let me put it that way. I'm not trying to be, but we got to put this thing the simplest way so that it can look just that book thing we're talking. Let everybody be all my old man and say anything all the way in Bon Country. They can understand what I'm saying. You need water. You need food. You need warmth. You need rest, and you need health. These are some of the physiological needs that you need as human being. You must have them as human being. Last time we told you that one of the things that is done in Liberia, especially in the political arena, they don't provide this basic necessity for the people. So it makes you to not even be able to think to the next level because you don't have those basic things. Remember last week we told you that when you have those basic needs, the reason why our children in America, when they leave the house, they can choose whether they want to eat breakfast to the house or they will eat the breakfast at the school.
Hi. Professor wants to say hi.
Hi. Hi, niece. What's up?
Good.
Good. Well, what we'll do, we'll move this thing in a little bit so that everybody can see your face and can tell what's up, okay?
Say okay.
Okay.
All right, go. We'll come back.
Good.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Good girl.
Good.
Okay.
So
let me chime in on that, okay?
Please go ahead.
Because I want people to really understand this stage and why it's important. And I'm glad you brought it up of when you don't create this stability, when the child, because what we call pre-verbal, and pre-verbal mean before you have words to put to meaning of what's going on, right?
Right.
You rely on, so again, this neurological development, the neurons in your brain, right? It almost rely on picture. And you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
What this picture looks like, or what. So when my needs don't get met, I don't have words to put to it, right? But now my brain has established in here that, oh, safety. This is not safe. This place is not safe. If you're bouncing the children from one place to the other, the children don't have words to put to it to say, mommy don't have babysitter, but a child brain then comes to develop in a sense of seeing safety, inconsistency. So you see how that is very important in what Steve talked about. When or if a child is sexually abused, right? The child doesn't have words for it. And what we know and have learned about trauma. Oh, the next professor here.
Hello.
Say what's up.
What's up?
Say hi, uncle.
Hi, Uncle.
What's up, nephew? What's going on?
All right.
Good.
You on TV?
Good.
All right,
Go.
good.
Okay, talk to you later, okay? All right, goodbye. Okay, so and what we know about that is then
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
goodbye. Okay, y'all go tell Heaven to come sit down with your small, okay? So mommy can finish. We're calling big sister now to the floor. There you go. So what we know now about trauma is trauma stores memory at the exact age you experience it. So you can, if you experience trauma, that kind of significant trauma as a baby, your brain locks it in as baby. Okay.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you. You're muted.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I don't know how much I explained, but I said what we know about trauma. Trauma lacks the memory in at the age it happened. So
Right.
if that baby and no words were on it, trauma locks it in that way. So that you grow up now, you will be in your 30s, in your 40s, and you don't understand a certain part of your life.
Right. So today, sorry, we got some guests. My niece and nephew are with us today. So your bear with us. We're having a good time.
We're having a very good time. And I guess this is the natural part of things, right?
Yes.
So again, your body, your neurological makeup locks in trauma in the age it happens.
Yes.
So you become an adult. These other things start to happen as your mental health, your connecting with people is starting to not look like what it's supposed to look like, but you don't know it. You can't pinpoint it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It takes you working then with a professional who is trained in early childhood trauma to be able to help you dig in there to get at it. You'll see why we say this is not a therapy session, because we cannot possibly be able to work with you in this tight confines, never meeting you, don't know your history to start doing diagnosis and all that, right? And besides, it's not ethical. We can't just be doing that. But so understanding that they think, and I want to bring tradition in because we have covered that. So let people be seeing how all the things make sense to us.
Right. You're muted.
So what I know, and Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but what I know to be my own African tradition or Liberian tradition, when women are are even in their pregnancy, right?
You're muted again. You are muted. We can't hear
No,
you.
I was talking to my controller.
Oh, okay.
So when
Yeah, that
women
makes
are
sense.
in a pregnancy, right,
Mm-hmm.
how they are treated, that's going back to African tradition. From what I know, that is supposed to be normal.
Right.
Women are supposed to be cared for, right? The tradition. The women in the community make sure they take care of that woman, even if they're cooking that day to bring food to her, right? To help her through this thing, because we understood, or the people, our old people understood this impact, so they didn't have the book knowledge that we have here.
Guys, just hang on. She's almost done with the kids, and she will be back to make the point she was making to finish it up. But she will be back.
Okay, I stay here now.
Yes.
Okay, so going back, our people didn't have this book, this research, this backed research, right? And
Right.
we call it evidence based because this has been established, it has been tested and tried. That's the only reason why they call it is evidence based.
Mm-hmm.
But we understood these things because tradition, what we passed down. So going back to this thing was there, my people. It's not all bad about our culture. Up to when a woman is born, when a woman deliver, when a woman give birth, that the elderly women in the community come around again. One, that they know the woman will be tired. that someone woman can be helping her hold that baby. You get what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
am grateful that for me, this part of tradition I enjoyed with my children. That when I was not able, the woman and king and the woman, they step in for me. So that was basically them doing their part in this physiological needs to be met. That these little babies start to understand that this is a safe place. So that part of our tradition, let us be able to embrace it, because it's moving the human being in a healthy direction.
Right. So
Okay.
so 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 let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question really quick, because in speaking about that, when I spoke earlier and I talked about the importance of, let me use the word babysitter or sitter, or having that support, or having that support. What in this context, what do you make of what in this context, what do you make of the support system? What would you say?
Okay. So in a void of trauma, communities are supposed to be safe. But we see that for the adults, some adults, they have been impacted by they weren't in trauma. Yo, we keep hearing a thing called trauma, right? We'll keep hearing it. Um, so you as the adult that has the first obligation, that your first responsibility for that child, that you supposed to be able to know which adult is supposed to be trusted with your child or not. That which household you can carry your child in and nothing will happen to them. And this household, do they carry similar ways that I care for my child? So you observe, you get to know the people that you bring in the child around. So that the importance of that, because they think on trauma. If the adult has experienced some kind of trauma, that their ability to be present with your child is not there. That when your child's supposed to be fed, that person might not there, or they making power over here somewhere, or and you get what I'm saying, they just forget. Then your child needs will not be met over there. If different people coming in and out, shuffle, different people, you see different kind of personalities coming in and out of that house. Your child learning, and your child picking up small things. That will be something that will impact the child development. So learning that also, and just saying, okay, this is another player. The noise happening there. It's not good for the child to be there.
Okay.
So
So you talked about the parents and the role of, let's say, the traditional women or the mother or other people. You talked about it. Now, my concern to you now is how, or how are, what is the role of the support system in this whole physiological needs part of our lives as
okay.
humans, or for our children, or for our loved ones, or even in whether that relationships or friendships and so forth.
So that would we jumping right up to this belonging, love, intimate relationship, friends and friendship just a little bit, but we'll come back down, right? So
Mhm.
the role of your support system in this physiological needs, it goes back to when you are extremely vulnerable. And pregnancy and birth is a place where a woman or a family as a whole is extremely vulnerable. Because if this woman, I will play a couple of scenarios here, right? If the woman is in a marriage or a cohabitating, I mean you're live together in it.
Mhm.
If she lived together with her partner, when that man gotta go to work in order for the household to kind of keep running a little bit, right? So if the man go to work, the woman stay here with the children. She's weaker. Her body is weaker when she gives birth, right? The body still, because giving birth is a big deal. Let this thing let understand it's a big deal, and it's a big impact to the woman's body, right? The woman, all her organs now come now, kind of arrange itself here. I'm talking about the very early parts now of postpartum. I mean, you not give birth, right? And they think you just brought off of community, come here, address something. So what happened is Sometimes, and sometimes it happens even with support. But most women are at risk of what we call postpartum depression. Okay. And
Mhm.
what is depression? What constitute that? If you find that you're sad at certain times, and you just kind of don't even know why you're sad, or you have no interest that day to wake up from in a bed, and you got a young baby to feed, and you get what I'm saying, and you
Mhm.
can't get up and give the child the needs so that the child needs is met. This is where the community comes in. Do you have those support system in place that you don't have to give them this, I need help, verbally sometimes, right? But because they understand that you yourself need to be careful. So do you have a sister, friend, or auntie, or your man, that will come
Mhm.
in a horse there with you during early stages? And this is going back to culture. From what I know, the healthy part of culture I know, this is something that we used to do. But war and trauma has impacted that of how we see community now, right? So your Oma can the Oma mentioned now that the Oma feeding the mom in that bay, but the Oma also going back to the child and making sure baby okay. If the other children are in the house, the Oma and the auntie, the friends name, make sure the children dress and get on a bus for school. So
Hmm.
that's how community is important in our physiological needs. And no, the woman making sure that the doors are locked, because you may forget again. Early pregnancy, the woman's mind, the woman's brain kind of goes into what seems like a little shock, because what her brain has just undergone, the shift that the brain allowed this body to do for 9 months, it gotta get itself back together. So it's not that she wants to forget that she even like her own door that day, but having those support system that when the spouse come home, Papa say, I got it from here. Go sit down. Let me change chair and dap on now. I will make sure I lock the door. And you get what I'm saying? So this is why this community or this support system is so important to that physiological. So making sure that safety needs. If somebody lock the door now, nobody can just bust in here now. Cause some kind of in the environment. That's why it's important.
So let me ask you this last question, and then maybe we can go through one or two reads here. Or if anyone has any question, please. We got 10 more minutes to go. Anyone has any question, you can post your question in live feed. We're not opening the lines because of time. But let me ask you this question. Since we are still talking about the physiological need, we talk about the importance of parents playing a role, such as ensuring, safety, rest, warmth, and all of that and so forth. And since you brought about the early childhood and the impact that it could have on early childhood to affect your life or impact your life for the rest of your life, whether it was abuse or so forth. Now, I want to shift the conversation just a little bit to bring to your attention. What is the impact of parents being pregnant and saying whether they got one life to live and they're having fun, whether they know they're pregnant or not, but they're smoking and they're drinking or they're around people who are smoking, we call it first-hand smoke and so forth. For some of us, for me, for example, I can be places where, no disrespect, where they're smoking or where people are smoking hookah or other things. I get sick automatically. Once I'm in that environment for about 30 minutes or an hour the next day, that's it. I get sick. So, what do you say to parents who are pregnant, who have their unborn children and they live a donkey life, or they just maybe they're addicted to some kind of substance and they think they got to either be still smoking the weed, smoking the cigarette, getting drunk, drinking, or smoking the hookah, whatever. What do you say?
So, my people, yeah, going back to the planting or what we did last time, the analogy I used, the example I used about the planting. Yeah? So imagine that before the farmer get ready for the fruit here that you will eat tomorrow,
Mhm.
the farmer got to be able to take care of that land. You can go waste dirty water in that land, or taxes, waterway, different taxes, high chemical in that land. Then tomorrow, you expect the fruit to grow. The fruit will grow, eh? Sometimes the fruit will develop on the outside. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But when you boil it, it's not good for you because why? the things that were used to start it, the things that were used to take care of that ground, it was not for human body consumption. And you get what I'm saying? So I talk now when we're talking about the our so-called bigger guests and I gotta go and live. I got one life to live. Man,
Right.
you pregnant. You carrying this child. Remember, I talk about neurological development, and y'all can hear something that maybe y'all know before. But a human brain, we have learned, and science has proven that a brain will not stop growing and forming and developing way into your 25, 26, 27 years of age. That your brain is still forming. And you get what I'm saying? So imagine even at 26, your brain not fully developed yet, or 23, your brain not fully developed yet. Then the unborn child that just now the body is forming itself. So the body will form itself, but when a child is born, and depending on the consumption means how much you took in. And you get what I'm saying? How much toxins you expose your body to. The child will form, because anything that you give nature, it will give it back to you. And you get what I'm saying? The child will grow, but then the child grow, and you see what there are a couple of things that happen. If this child is bred, because the breeding time that when the gestation, when the belly growing, and then the child growing inside the belly, right? The child will be born. But if the consumption, how much you put in, or how much in taxing you expose yourself to, you find that early children are born with oh God, what do you call it? The children who end up in NICU, Steve. Please help me now.
The who?
The children who end up in NICU when they were born.
Premature.
Premature. Okay. So some of these things that will happen can affect the child. Child can be born premature, right? If you're going out, you jumping, you're doing all kind of things in that pregnancy that you're not supposed to be shifting yourself in some kind of ways. You're making early ways for the child to be born. That could happen. Sometimes the children are born with that substance in their body that they need to have some kind of detox, some kind of hell of a detox. And that also is a shock on the system. Imagine you just born in and start flushing you with some kind of thing to get what was in you out. So you see the kind of pressure you put on this young body soon as the child is born. That's a shock. That's a trauma in a sense.
Well, thank you so
That's a
much.
trauma in a sense that the young baby is experiencing. And the brain now form you. Imagine a jelly small they think the neurons not even start to, So that's why it's important, and that's why we're talking about it.
Thank you so much. We will take this off. We got 5 more minutes to go. I know we are running out of time, but let me just add to what you just said. And maybe I'll read one or two comments here really quick, and we'll go from there. Let me just add to what you just said. It's important what you said. Very important. I will say maybe a little say the thing in simple English, so other than what I'm saying it. Please stop making your children or your child an alcoholic.
Oh, thank you, Steve. When you
Important.
bring up, I beg you. Let me say one more thing before you
Say
close
it,
it
say
out.
it, please.
So they whole alcoholic here. So here's what also happens now later on. Sometimes they don't catch it right there, no. But your child start going to school, teachers are active investigators because they're looking at the child to see how the development is going on, right? The teachers spend most of the time with your children now because you got to go to work and stuff, right? When they start to see one or two things not sitting, the child not understanding things as they need to, the child not taking directions as they need to, the child just not responding back to the world and the learning, the environment. They carry the child for testing. Sometimes what comes out of it is what we call fetal alcohol syndrome.
Fetal alcohol.
FAS.
Yes, fetal alcohol syndrome. So to close up
Or
today,
fetal. I'm sorry, fetal.
fetal, yes, fetal alcohol syndrome. To close up today, I want to say this to all of us. It might sound harsh, but these are the truth. There is no other way they can be said. Some of you who are breastfeeding as well, breastfeeding parents, Stop drinking and breastfeeding your children. Okay. Because when you go for the doctor's visits and things and these different things, sometimes they have the ability to come up in their system. Be careful what you do. Having children, a huge responsibility. You can pre-expose your children to these things. Sometimes they're going to say it does not happen right at the time. But then the child grows up because they already are pre-exposed to it. Somebody grew up now, they go drink one cooler. Guess what? One cooler not too strong for them to start drinking beer. Beer not too strong for them to start drinking whiskey. Whiskey not too strong for them to go to vodka. Vodka not
They
too strong.
fall down inside because you tested all the small thing in the pregnancy. They body and say that small thing, I want more.
Yeah. Well, y'all, thank you so much. I think next Sunday we'll post the time. Sunday, not this Sunday, next Sunday we'll be back. Not Friday. We'll post the time, we announce it.
Yeah, uncle.
But tune in tomorrow. Hi, what's up, nephew? Tune in tomorrow. We are.
I got my ball.
Yeah, I'm coming for the ball. I'll be in Minnesota soon for that ball. I gotta take that ball from you. Yes, I gotta take the ball from you. So tune in tomorrow. We have political talk. We'll be playing host to Victoria Kwekwe from the ANC. She's a senator aspirant in Montserrato. In other words, she's challenging Sir Joseph. Tune in tomorrow. We'll be having an interview here with her. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Minnesota time, right? Central Standard Time, and 11 a.m. Arizona time. Sunday, this coming Sunday, we're playing host to Yeka Koluba. Representative Yeka Koluba will be our guest. Same time, same place. That being said, we want to say thank you.
Thank you all for your support.
Please give us a parting comment so we can bounce.
I'm always here to help educate. Again, this is community engagement. We just want so we start looking at things differently, so we start understanding things, so we do better.
Thank you so much. Happy weekend, guys. See you tomorrow.
All right, you too.
Stay safe. Enjoy yourself. We will not
All
copyright
right.
this.